Please welcome Susie Kuhn, Active Group President, Wolverine Worldwide.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be on this stage. It's been inspiring already this morning to listen to so many consistent themes with things that I'm about to say. I'm going to tell a little personal story just about my journey, and it's an honor to be on a stage for an event called Women in Power because it means I did something right to get up here. But I thought it'd be interesting to share my journey from the standpoint of a little bit on a resume. So we all have a lot of numbers on resumes, and they do, underneath it all, build a story. I have 28 years in this retail and branded business, and I have 7 different corporations under my belt. I have 4 different countries, 6 different functions that I've moved around to gain experience, and 21 different managers in those 28 years. I think the consistency of my career is change. I have kind of consciously taken on change throughout my entire career, and it's created a little bit of a roadmap for how I lead teams and how I create successful businesses, purely through learned mistakes, learned skills, and just opening myself kind of up to the world. I think when I think about the resume and the career ladder, I do break it down to numbers, but I think it's so critical if I think about how we're going to help women stay successful and increase their success and representation in our business. It's to make sure that you know your story underneath the numbers. Numbers might get you in the door, but the story is going to actually get you the job. I rewrite my resume every single year, not because I'm looking for a job every year, not because I feel like I have to, because it helps me remember that every year is just another year of learning. So when I think about my career in terms of a climb, I always think about the first 7 years. I learned great fundamentals in retail. I was at May Company, got that old school retail. I moved to Adidas and learned how to open new concepts and new visions in DTC. And then I was at Target. And at the time, they were really a first leader in how to bring analytics and systems into merchandising. So we moved beyond the merchant king and gut merchandising and found this balance that we're all still working on today. And then that found fundamentals at a time where Nike was pivoting towards being a wholesale into being really a full omni-channel retailer. I landed at Nike, and you can see by the numbers of my Nike years that it was truly transformative. 15 years at a company allows you a lot of things. For me, with Nike investing in moving people, developing people for future leaders, I was able to get a lot of different functions. I did product merchandising, I did marketplace product management, marketplace merchandising, DTC as we were building out our digital capabilities, and ultimately Nike gave me the opportunity to run my first P&L, which was always kind of the goal for me, in that I've always had the ambition of being in the C-suite. From Nike, I made the hard choice to leave, and it was very deliberate, difficult. 15 years, you can imagine, with one company, your kind of identity and your life gets a little bit wrapped up in that company, so leaving was a hard decision. But for me, there was a reason why. Nike's a huge company. It's complex. I couldn't get close to capital decision making, and I couldn't get close to the boardroom. It was just going to be way too many years and way too much effort in what was a very kind of male-dominated environment to get there. So I left with a little bit of faith that I would be able to establish myself elsewhere and continue to grow towards that kind of C-suite ambition that I had developed over the years. Ultimately, where I landed was Urban Inc. And while I had a short time there, it was a big unlock for me after 15 years with one company. The reason is that I knew how to extract value from Urban, in that I had this beautiful front row of a brilliant founder and CEO in Dick Hayne, and I got exposure to board through that, and I got exposure to capital decisions. But the one North Star I've always had in the career that I tell all young women to do is every role you take, make sure you add value at the same level that you're getting value. If you take a job simply because it's good for you, you will lose the plot of the whole point of gaining a next role. So the advice on this one is Urban was looking to do expansion to China. I had lived in China for 10 years while I was with Nike, and they were also looking at exploring new business models, which is called Nuuly today, rental and a subscription-based business model with the brilliant inventory that Urban Inc. does have. And I had spent years as the operating merchant as Nike invested in digital technology. And so I did add value to that company for the brief time I was there, but I did extract a lot of value too. It led to Foot Locker. It was my It was a calling card for me to get to Foot Locker because I got offered the European P&L, $2 billion, 10,000 employees, 700 stores in 21 countries, which was amazing on paper, and it was amazing in real life. I did not know when I started on February 10th, 2020, that I would also deal with the COVID crisis with that level of complexity. It has shaped pretty much my career from this point forward. Underneath all of this, though, I can tell you the resume, I can tell you the numbers, I can turn you basic learnings, but I have 3 things that at 50 years old I can stand up here and say, yeah, these are my core strengths. I have incredible curiosity. I love new, different things. I was an avid reader as a kid. I have boldness. I've never been afraid to say, yes, I would like to be a CEO one day. That's kind of served me well in some places, in other cases not as much. And I have really great self-awareness. From the fact that I was a really sensitive kid. I cried a lot in the early years of my career. I'm sure some women in this room struggled to maintain that, but crying is like a reaction to me that I think I worked myself out of now. But these 3 things are incredible strengths. But we all know strengths can become your greatest weaknesses, especially when you're doing corporate kind of entrepreneurship and trying to grow your career inside of what I mentioned, and I think Melissa mentioned, and Susan kind of knows, a relatively male-dominated environment. So I had to figure out how I was going to use my strengths without changing myself for an increased likelihood of success. And so I started thinking about curiosity. The strength is, you're attracted to everything new. You can gain quick followership. You can get people to follow you, to motivate for the wind. The learning that I had, though, is I really needed to finish the job, to execute well, to have operational rigor. I think everyone knows type A's who are curious, love to start things, but maybe aren't good at finishing. I had to figure out how to finish strong. And once I did that, then all of the things that follow in corporate life follow. Because if you can deliver the results, you can actually get there. The second thing was boldness. Great strength, I'm all in. Everyone knows I'm all in the minute I start someplace. But being all in means sometimes you can be viewed as competitive or maybe out for yourself when it's not your intention. So for me, I really learned about peer management and how to build an incredible network of people around me, especially my peer group, because there's no way to execute without them. And then third, self-awareness. This is probably the lifelong journey that I'm on as a sensitive person who early days liked to be liked. The reality is you absorb and you adjust all the feedback. And 28 years in the business, 21 different managers, corporations that were male-dominated, I've taken on a lot of feedback. The learning is to not take it too personally, to turn it into action. I have never changed who I am, but I've always done behavioral modification to make sure that I'm the most effective I can be in any room. The biggest thing that happened at the end of the 25 years that I just kind of outlined is that I got one of those shockers, that I got structured out of my Foot Locker job. Unexpectedly, randomly. Hopefully everyone in the room hasn't had to go through it, but I have a feeling you probably have when you just don't expect something. And so I took a beautiful 2 years, the pause. I didn't add a single other number to my resume. I played golf. I hung out with my aging parents. I spent time with my dog. I said no to a lot of opportunities because they just didn't feel right to me. And I honed in on what I wanted for the future. And I think that's the power of being 50, is that all of a sudden you get a break, and a forced break in some ways, and you say, well, how do I want to add value in the future? And I was really fortunate that I landed at Wolverine Worldwide. I think Wolverine, to me, fits so many things that I wanted. It is an incredible portfolio. For those of you who don't know Wolverine, it has a fantastic running brand in Saucony. It has a fantastic outdoor brand in Merrill. Has a fantastic workwear boot company in Wolverine. It's got Chaco, the sandal. We have a portfolio that speaks to what the consumer is doing today, and it's truly exciting to be on that, and I can see growth behind every one of our brands. I think the second thing it has is a CEO with great vision. And for the first time in my career, I'm not starting this role as any kind of tokenism, as being a woman in leadership. Our board is 45% female. Our leadership team is 65% female. I'm surrounded by an incredibly diverse and balanced executive team, and we heard earlier today what the percentages are on average. So I feel blessed to just get to show up and do my job really well now. I earned my spot here, but to keep it, I need to bring kind of all 25 years of value to the plate. I think for me, this is just 2 foundational things that'll end up: discernment, and this is what I plan to bring every single day, and fulfillment. Discernment is the ability to judge well before the problem actually shows up, And fulfillment means that you're kind of a fully realized person with your character and your abilities. And so that is what I kind of strive to bring every day to this job at this point. So thank you so much for being on stage. I hope that just resonates a little bit with some of you. I tell all of this to the younger women in that hopefully they have a slightly easier path than I did, but even if they don't, the one thing women all have in common is resiliency. We keep fighting, we keep striving, and we keep achieving great things once we're in this space. So thank you so much. I did create a little bit of a book list. I'll let you guys go online. I'll post this later of my favorite books to read and the ones that got me through the pause and what I'm reading next. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn, and I really look forward to connecting with you guys all at the break. Thank you.